What's up, silly people? This is Saba from the City McQuiggles project, and you've just tuned into the City Encore, the second part of my chat with the Melbourne-based art rock outfit, Peak Park. I don't know about you, but I reckon their journey so far could really be a blueprint for any DIY music project out there. They're very open and honest about their experiences, good and bad. So if you haven't listened to the City Talk yet, where we discuss how they've grown as people and bandmates over the 2 pandemic years, I really recommend you do that. Because it's not very common that you would have so much insight into a band and everything that goes into building a brand and a following without a record label, PR team, or even management behind them. This time, Peak Park will tell you more about their new EP, How to Be, which was released on the 18th of March. Just keep in mind that we spoke just before it dropped, so they still didn't know how it would be received. So let's dive right in and find out some basics about it.
And it's a 3-track EP that we, like all our other songs, wrote, recorded, produced ourselves. Had a good friend Lewis do the mastering, and artwork was done in-house as well. And it's a collection of 3 songs that we'd sort of been sitting on for a while there. And I guess the long and short of it, we decided to not take the singles approach because we just had a backlog of songs. We've got like 10 to 12 songs just sitting there. And I was just getting really frustrated with the idea of just putting out a single and spending like 3 months finishing it and releasing it and stuff. So, and Mitch writes all these beautiful little songs that might just be like a motif, and we never turn them into like fully fleshed songs. And I was like, we gotta, like, I love some of this stuff, but bluntly, it'll probably never be the next single, but like we should put it out. So originally it was going to be just a 2-track EP or just like a double A side single. And then it went, well, we've got these little songs, and then it turned to 3. And then Mitch actually wrote a new one, like For Tomorrow was a recent one. And it was just, we went through all the songs, said which of these sort of work best together. And then, planned out this one and maybe even the next one to come. So, that's how it all sort of happened.
So go for it.
I was just going to say, it's probably sort of like the biggest thing we've done, like our most ambitious sort of thing. And as a whole thing, definitely like the biggest, but probably the thing, like it hasn't even come out yet, but I personally feel like it's the thing I'm most like proud of that we've done so far. As a whole thing, like it's been a pretty big effort.
Cool. So do I understand it correctly that For Tomorrow is kind of like a newish song, and then the other 2, You're Not Alone and Dancing in the Dark, might have been already in the works when we spoke 2 years ago?
Well, maybe not the 2 years.
Not that far, probably. I wouldn't. Oh, probably not.
I think the oldest would be You Are Not Alone.
Yeah.
But that has come quite a long way since it first started.
I think that might have been sort of mid-late 2020. So it might have been the same year we had the interview, but like a fair bit after. And that was in that period where we weren't really jamming, and I was just at home, just slogging out demos and ideas, like in my little cave. But they were 2. So You Are Not Alone, that started as a song called Itch. And we all really liked it. And then I did another version of it, and Mitch was he was like, I got to sing over this, and belted out some lyrics, and then it just kind of sat there for ages because we went back into lockdown. And Dancing in the Dark, again, had a different title, but that one was a demo that I'd written, like, I think 90% of it. I don't think that really changed a lot.
Yeah, in terms of structure and chords and everything. It was all there,
which was really refreshing because at the time I was going through this cycle, this kind of like hate cycle of I'd write stuff and then I'd be like, I gotta redo it all and change the progression, and then we'd have like a whole new song and I'd show the guys and they'd be like, this is cool, but what happened to the last song? I'd be like, it's something new, just deal with it.
But then For Tomorrow definitely, as you just mentioned, came along a lot more recently, and it's sort of like while we were having these discussions about what we would do with the next kind of project. And as you described already, it's just that you never know at which Peak Park rehearsal Mitch is just going to sort of be like, I've got something, and then just sort of performs it to you. And often with those kind of really candid ones, that's how it ends up being. Like, I'd say the way that For Tomorrow sounds now is like a pretty similar experience to hearing it for the first time when you just like sort of played it for us, and you get that little. I think that's why it has that sort of authenticity.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always really, I don't know, that it can't be more complimentary about it. Like, it's always just like, always just whips out something that's a really, like whole song, holistic and pretty song.
But yeah, as collectively, like they've spanned quite a long time. But like, For Tomorrow is like a few months old, and You Are Not Alone is probably a couple of years.
Well over a year.
Yeah.
And you see, the reason I'm asking is because when we spoke 2 years ago, and I'm just going to be going back to that because it's interesting for me to see like the change of your mindset as well in those 2 years. You know what I mean? So you said to me then that you had a bunch of songs that you were sitting on, and then you had one that you wanted to release. And then, you know, you kind of had an idea of what you wanted to do next with the songs that you had. So I'm kind of wondering, okay, let me rephrase it. Sometimes it's like you write a song, and this is my understanding of being a musician because I'm not one. You write a song and it appears in a certain moment of your life and you think it's great and the lyrics are great and the music and stuff, but it just sits there. And then in 2 years' time, you go back to it and you're like, nah, that's, excuse me, but that's shit. We're just going to leave it. We just leave it there because maybe in 2 years from now, we're going to like it again. Or it could be like, oh my God, this is such a great song. And it lends itself to what we're feeling now as a band, what's happening in the world. So I'm just wondering how many of those songs that you had 2 years ago are still in kind of, you still consider to be the tracks that you want to release in the future?
This couldn't be any more like ironic timing. We were literally talking about it last night, that one of the first demos that like I ever showed the boys, Cal had like found it stuck in the Google Drive in some like folder.
Yep.
And he's been like, yeah, man, this is great. Like, we should bring this back out again. Yeah. And that song's like 5 years old. Like,
yeah. And it's probably that personal relationship with it as well, that like you personally have had that time away from it. And maybe you feel like in some ways you've evolved like further as a musician, songwriter, producer type thing. But for me, rediscovering it, like there was a little bit of just nostalgia about it, but also I just really vibed with it. So it's like, it is sometimes fun to find those old gems.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of the ones that have been sort of in rotation for a while are still in the sort of planning. There's not too many that have been like really left behind because we feel like super disassociated with them.
Yeah.
Perhaps some of those ones that are like ancient and like really are from the start of the whole project. And they are more almost like Hoft solo songs because they're kind of before Mission.
Pre-day P-Pass.
So, but yeah, I get what you're saying for sure.
I think like lyrically, we always want them to feel relevant at the time of release because we want to obviously connect to it. And like lyrically, I feel like songs could age. Like if you've written something quite a while ago and it's like a different time, it doesn't really feel like you're sort of true to what the words were anymore. But I feel like every release we've had lyrically, at least, I've connected to it pretty hard. And it's definitely something we try to push with every release. I think that's why we were kind of keen to get this one out as well, because there was stuff there that was in our headspace currently that like we wanted to kind of talk about and get out there.
It was pretty much the logic behind committing to like this 3-track EP was that, as I said, we've got, I think, what we could probably claim to be like 8 or 10 songs that we really like or even have good potential. And it's frustrating to think that we have all this stuff sitting there, but we still want to keep making new stuff. And now it's like, okay, well, hopefully we just put out like, 2 or 3 more of these 3-song EPs, and then we get through a lot of it while still being able to make new stuff. Because, as I said, at this point, like, it's not doing anyone any good just sitting there, like, up for us as a band or, like, progressing sort of success-wise. So, we just want to finish it and get them out.
Cool. So we've got the basics down. Now let's see what the concept behind the EP was and how the songs actually came to be. And I'm just giving you a heads up already that there is an element of the Australian fauna towards the end of this segment that makes up for a fun special effect.
And I really like the title of it, How to Be. And I was like, when I first read it, and I was like, how to be what? And then I was like, but that's exactly the question, because we all want to be something or somebody or like somewhere and stuff. And you just kind of called it How to Be. So I really like it. And I just wanted to kind of ask about how you came up with the title. Was it completely random, or was it like, because it ties in nicely with the songs that you have on the EP? So I'm kind of thinking whether it came later or if you had it in mind a bit before even kind of, you know, thinking of doing a release, like an EP?
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. That's really nice to hear, because we did sort of deliberate on it for quite a while, what to make it. I think it did come later. It came after the songs were pretty much done. Definitely lyrically, they were all finished. And we sort of had nothing for quite a while, and then we were like throwing out around quite a lot of ideas. I guess the main thing I was just a bit conscious of was we really didn't want to make it sound like we had the this like understanding of life of how to be, and we didn't want it to come across as like we're telling you something to be. So like the way that we did sort of phrase those words was very particular in that regard. Because I didn't want it to sound like an instruction. Because initially we had some ideas. I think one of them was like be yourself. Which was good. We liked it. Like be yourself. It's accurate to what it was, but as like a standalone thing, it felt a bit like we were saying. We understand it, and this is what you should do. Whereas it's more like we are part of the process of trying to figure out what's going on.
I remember how this all went down actually, because like we getting to the point where it was like the songs were getting finished and we needed to make artwork, and I was working on it, and I just had sort of placeholder titles. So I think, funnily enough, a lot of the results we get come out of like necessity, because we're at to that point within the process. So I remember that I think I might have just landed on a few ideas, and it was be yourself was a placeholder for a while there, and that was prompted by the sort of lyric breakdown and all the comments that Mitch had made anyway. So it all kind of came back to Mitch's writings and how I interpreted it. And then, basically got told it was like shit. Like we could do better. And which was good, because like we always try and challenge, like I think a really key ethos to this whole band is that like just because you have an idea doesn't mean it's the best idea. Like you can always push it and you can always develop it. And then, we just sort of spitballed, and like it, fortunately, I mean, it's obviously translated with the way we intended it, which is, really, really nice to hear.
Definitely.
But how do you write the songs, or at least those 3 that you have on the EP? Is it someone's in charge of the music just naturally, I mean, and then Mitch does the lyrics, or is it Mitch comes with the lyrics and then the 3 of you sit together and you kind of try to come up with their melody? So kind of about the creative process on this one.
I think maybe interestingly, the last time we talked about we were getting the Please Don't sort of era was when we were getting really, like a lot of the songs were starting to be quite collaborative and at that time to be together. But then because of lockdown and everything, a lot of these sort of demos and stuff I was maybe just working on at home, it was a bit harder to have that element of collaboration. There we go. So both, I think, Dancing in the Dark, as I briefly sort of mentioned before, that was one that was 95%. I just sort of had it was a Sunday and I just punched out a demo, and everything, the arrangement, it all just kind of worked. And then
you jumped on to write the verse,
which was really cool. Cal just threw together this like beautiful verse, and
just had a bit of a go at it one day. And then I think the really fun thing about that was because that had been around for a while now. I remember it, and potentially even the last single might have come out since that happened. So like that one going into the background was, you never know if that's going to kind of rear its head again, but I think you always felt strong about it. And then the really nice thing was that first verse became kind of a little bit of a catalyst for Mitch to continue on with it. And so like I really loved Mitch then went and did the chorus, but also the way that he developed the second verse, just as a sort of like relative thing to what I did, but also like developing it. It was really cool. So that way, but they're all kind of a bit different. Like we've probably talked a little bit about how For Tomorrow is a little bit of just a Mitch, not off the cuff, but really like quick, simple decision kind of thing. But then the other one,
You're Not Alone, is that was one of the songs where I was just going through a phase instead of like writing it, deleting it, changing it. Because the original groove of that demo is I still think pretty cool, but whether we revisit it or not, I don't know. But either way, I just sort of changed it up and landed on this new demo, which for the most part, it's pretty much structurally and maybe like tonally, it's a little bit different now in the release, but the idea was pretty consistent. And then, yeah, I remember you had lyrics, you just sung over it, and you must have been having like a miracle day, because I just loved it. Like, and I played that demo so many times, and for ages there, I really wanted to put that one out. Like, I've been really keen for this song to drop for so long, because I always liked his melodies. Yeah, the lyrics were just sort of beautiful. And then by that point, it was just a case of, I guess, me putting on like the producer hat and just trying to make the song be as, I guess, nice and beautiful sounding and sort of suit the mood we were going for. Yeah. Can you hear these cooking?
Yeah, I'm seriously.
I was going to ask, because sometimes when you have like talk shows, and especially in American TV, like when there is a moment where something is supposed to be like, there's no audience, but they're supposed to be clapping, and they just press the button. Maybe you've got these effects that if you want to amplify it, then you ask it.
On the side, like kookaburras.
Yeah. Very, very, very Aussie, actually, I have to say.
There is a saying that goes, some days I need the music and some days I need the lyrics. And it has everything to do with the next segment of my chat with Peak Park. Whilst the saying is generally true, I reckon I connect with songs a little more when I connect with their lyrics. In the case of this release, the gents probably overshared a little. I very generously got an ultimate breakdown of all the lyrics with detailed notes about the meaning behind them. But I decided to use it to my advantage and probe a little more into that topic.
On the lyrical side, so the lyrics is all you, Mitch, is it? Or does anyone else write as well? Or is it just yourself?
Yeah, for this one, I think it was mostly me. You obviously wrote the first verse.
Really just that first
for Dancing in the Dark.
Yeah, that's all I can stake. My little pie chart of writer's credit. That's all I get. So
and then, and then that one wins an Oscar or whatever, and you guys have to take, credit. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask about the lyrics is, and I don't know, maybe it's because I got the insights as well at what that means and stuff, but I think they're pretty profound, and like you kind of cover topics which everybody relates to these days, but they're kind of difficult to talk about as well, like the relationships and like pretending to be something that you're not because of what the society expects of you and stuff like that. So I'm kind of thinking, and I always like to know, in case of people who write the lyrics and also sing them, Mitch, probably to you, that's the question. Are you not afraid of kind of showing that side of you, which is the very vulnerable one, and like people can just find out? I suppose a lot of those things that you write about are very personal experiences as well, as opposed to like general observation. So I always like to know from the vocalists whether you're not afraid that people will know a bit too much about your private life.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much, but I guess like probably like a little bit. There's always that sort of fear of putting yourself out there and being open and honest and vulnerable. But kind of at the same time, a lot of what this EP was speaking to was exactly that, and just like deciding that it's okay to be yourself and just be a unique individual. And like, so I think it's definitely something sort of in recent years that I'm like, I think all of us have really, like we speak about it like quite a lot, just sort of understanding yourself better and being more honest with who you kind of are. And it's something that we're all pretty like passionate about, like our values and stuff. And so, yeah, like not like super worried in the sense of like the message and stuff, because it's pretty honest to who we are. And like, I don't think we're sort of like, we're pretty proud to talk about it and stuff. Yeah, I don't know if that fully answered your question. But...
No, it does. And is there kind of like an approval process going in the band? Like you come with the lyrics and then everybody reads them and they're like, yeah, I like them. No, I would change things. And, this is not a funny question. It's just in the context of whether the collaboration happens on the lyrics or the lyrical side as well, because obviously if you write the lyrics, this is the thoughts that you want to kind of get out, but maybe the other guys also have something to say in that. So I'm kind of interested in how collaborative it is on the lyrical side.
It's like I don't know. I feel like you guys are always just like, this is good.
Well, the moment
we just nails it every time.
We'll be sure to rip into you when it starts getting off the track. But I don't think it's usually we probably put the faith in you, but as I said, it sort of goes beyond that. It's not like we're just backing you. It's like we do actually genuinely like what you're putting forward.
Yeah, I think once we have like discussions about it and stuff, and we talk about it, like they're all very similar values that we all hold, and and things like that.
I think something that I've felt very comfortable in this like project is that we have kind of created an environment where we can, I guess, express these things, not even as lyricists or like, me putting it down in a song as lyrics, but we talk about so much shit, and it just, and I guess I'd like to think it does sort of create a space for Mitch to feel comfortable to talk about that in a song to us, let alone for us to then push it out into the world as well. So, I like everything Mitch sort of writes, and I think we do talk about the lyrics just as a sort of concept as well. And whether that then gives him the reinforcement to, maybe finish off that second verse with all these ideas or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to try and claim credit for Mitch's like lyricism, but it's, I think, currently it's working really well, I think. So, we'll flog it till it's dead.
I think another part, maybe sort of as well, is like, I'm sort of like a big believer in like audiences having their own interaction with art and with media and stuff. So kind of that's my experience with the lyrics. But once they're kind of out there, I feel like people attach their own like psyche to the lyrics. So it's obviously it is like an insight into us, but it's also an insight sort of into yourself. And it's kind of like if that, like, I like the idea of people reading into it in their own way, which is cool.
A question about that as well, but it's not really related to the EP, but a general observation. Is it easier for you to sing your own lyrics? Or do you think it would be difficult if someone else wrote them for you and you have to sing them?
In my opinion, it's easier to sing your own lyrics. That was actually something ages ago we talked about in the band, because you had quite a lot of lyrics there as well.
All of them amazing, obviously.
All of them flawless. But it was kind of something that I was sort of like, this was very personal to you, and like, which was great. But at the end, like, I was singing them, and I wanted to sort of connect more closely to the lyrics. I don't know, just so I can feel more attached to it, and I think maybe more genuine.
Definitely.
So that was definitely a discussion we had. Like,
that was like really early days, like when we first sort of started. So it's cool to see that progression in that regard. And it's interesting, like I was thinking about this the other day, that like because there's things I do want to sort of say in a song, and like I wish I could sing, because then I'd have that opportunity to really like, sit in that space. But I've thought about this down the line. If there are things that I do want to say in a song, I wouldn't feel like pressured, or that I couldn't bring it to the fellas and they wouldn't not embrace it either. So
definitely.
Cool.
As you've probably figured out by now, Peak Park are quite proud of their EP, and rightfully so. So in this last part of our catch-up, we spoke about what is new on this record as opposed to their previous work. And then I posed the one question that no muso in the world likes to answer.
Okay, so what's different on this EP when it comes to, like, I don't know, the sonic level and stuff, or something that you haven't done before that's completely new on this one? There must be something.
Quite a lot, I think.
I think it's not.
No, I think it's definitely our most sort of produced few songs, in the sense of the amount of just like hours and effort that's been put by you into the production side of it in the box. And that probably extends to like vocal like takes and things. Like we had, how many vocal tracks? We had like 70 vocal tracks or something ridiculous.
What?
I guess one of the benefits of the time that's passed between our last conversations is a set of just like in all those hours at home in lockdown, I've been just on YouTube, and I took a few courses, and I guess had a few moments that sort of clicked. And like the production that isn't even at a point where I sort of want it to be anyway. Hopefully it just progressively just gets better and better. But just being more conscious about, I guess, songwriting and arrangement as well. That feels like a really big thing. And kind of makes me even more excited for the songs that are coming, because we've already started to see that in the newer ones and the demos we're writing, the arrangement is like, the focus is there and it's more successful already because like parts aren't fighting each other. And so I guess in that regard, like with these new songs, it's just like holistically everything feels a bit more thought out and it has a particular space. And then You Are Not Alone, for instance, is probably one of the most like committed electronic synth-based sort of ones we've done. But that's like a prime example where the guitar lead that comes in the chorus, like that, there's no other guitar in the song effectively. And I'm like a bread and butter guitar player, but yeah, it just wasn't working anywhere else. And like any other idea I had just sounded better on a synth, or like the bass was picking it up. And yeah, just in general, like being a bit smarter about it. And yeah, hopefully it's translating.
Yeah, I think you've talked about that quite a lot. Like it's like learning when things work going in and when things maybe work taking them back out, and just giving things space.
Yeah,
I think sonically probably the biggest difference maybe is vocals on the new EP. We really like, that's something we're trying to get just constantly better at, just recording and like tracking vocals. And this is the first time we sort of tried doing like multiple takes of like the same vocal in all, like in a stack of different ways to try to get different sounds out of the vocal tracks. So that's a pretty big like one, I feel like.
Yeah, so like For Tomorrow, for instance, like that one, the way Mitch did the vocals was just progressively moving back away from the mic, and maybe like a perfect way you'd then quantize them all and make them really tight. But I like the way that they sit sort of, they waver in and out of each other, and the way they're panned, it gives it a sort of like, Mitch is kind of just he's there, he's just everywhere, sort of hugging you, and it suits the song. So, you know, things like that, making a conscious effort to, because you can record a vocal, but like, what does it do to serve the song? And all that other kind of nerdy stuff that goes into production and mixing and that. So yeah, it's exciting, and I'm keen to see what else we do in the future.
No, it sounds really good. And like you said, all the three songs are totally different. So like my kind of understanding of them, or how I hear them and what I think about them, is that You Are Not Alone is a very dancey track, which is fairly unusual for you guys, I would say. Whilst like For Tomorrow, for instance, when I listened to it for the first time, I kind of had this impression of sitting by the fire, you know, like an acoustic guitar and just singing. And it's very nice to, like, you know, it's a very kind of mellowy but like nostalgic song and stuff. So I guess what I want to ask is, you must be proud of all three of them, but if you had to pick one on the EP, which one would it be? And let's go one by one, because I want to hear everyone's opinion.
Who's the
and
favorite child?
Please justify as well.
You can start.
Yeah, go.
And look, I know it's a nasty question, because I know that musicians hate it when you ask it, like, what's your best album ever? Or like, what's your best song and stuff. And it's not about it being the best, but the one that maybe you're most kind of connected to in a way, because I guess it might be the case as well.
Yeah, if we are going to start with me, ironically, I feel like I don't want to steal an answer here, but
I might tell you, but steal my answer.
I'm probably going to say You Are Not Alone, which is funny because like there's really no ego in that, because I don't think I really even appear on that song. But not to peel back the curtain too far. but no, that one just really, it feels like that sort of embodiment of what we have been building to. And I think going back to Please Don't, just because we've focused on it so far a lot as a kind of a marking point of that period in time, like progressing from there to the previous single Closer I Feel and to it's sort of, there are through lines throughout them that have just sort of, maybe those elements have continued to extend and become even more profound or like prominent. And I love what Mitch did vocally. I love like just the vibe of it. I think it feels like a song that I'm going to be really excited for people to hear, like outside of just sort of immediate circle and stuff, to see what they think of it. And I mean, it's hard to choose. They all have a special place. But that's probably my reason.
Yeah. I'll round out.
I probably used to think You Are Not Alone was my favorite. We might have
till just then.
Till just then. Now I've got to change my answer. Nah, I actually really love Dancing in the Dark. Now I've just grown like a massive fondness for that song recently. Just the more we've listened to it. I think it's like, it's really just patient and like kind of knows what it is song. And I feel like songwriting wise, it's like I'm pretty proud of that one, how we've written it. Like, I don't think we sort of overdid it.
Yeah.
And just from the start, as soon as you showed the demo, it felt really just like, it's like, this is a song I just want to sing. And yeah, I just love listening to that song now, even though it's kind of sad. Like, yeah, that's probably, weirdly. Yeah. But that being said, you probably ask me on any other day and I'll say a different answer. So
yeah.
Now, Thomas, if you say now that you like For Tomorrow, then I will be sure that you've rehearsed this question before. So think about what you say.
I feel like you should ask me like a few weeks from now, because I've like in the last few weeks, because I've just been finishing the mixing and I've been like so like I wouldn't say I hate the songs, because I definitely don't, but like it's hard to sort of like objectively look at them. But I think I'm gonna have to side with Cal on this one, and I think I think You Are Not Alone is probably the most successful, concise, like structured, kind of impactful song we've ever sort of done. And like the production I'm really proud of and happy with all that, how the way that's turned out. I think that is just like a really accessible, nice, like lovely song. The meaning behind it is like quite beautiful as well. I'd probably say that one, but again, like ask me tomorrow, and like I love Dancing in the Dark, and again, these little songs that Mitch throw together, which aren't little at all, they're like just beautiful pieces of work. That also hits me really hard as well. So I'm gonna have to say You're Not Alone for the benefit of the question, but the true answer is all of them.
Of course.
All right then. After hearing all these confessions, it would be totally unfair if you didn't press play on Peak Park's EP How to Be. You'll actually hear a sample of it at the end of this episode, so don't you switch it off after I've finished talking. Also, give the gents a follow. You never know what show they'll be headlining in a few years' time. Thanks heaps for listening. As usual, find me, City McWiggles, on my website and socials for other things Aussie music related, seen from the European perspective. And if you really want to do something good today, follow or subscribe to this podcast, or maybe even become my supporter on Patreon. I'm always keen on suggestions for topics to cover and new acts to discover, so feel free to reach out with any comments. Finally, check out the episode notes for links to everything I've just mentioned. See you in the coming weeks for more City Talks. Bye!